much for this. We've been following this story for a while. I find it fascinating. For the audience to understand, what is the usual vetting process for someone in a position as high as Tom Homan's? What are the kinds of things that a functional government usually checks for someone like that before they get their position?
You know, Jason, I'm really glad you framed the question that way, because everything about this was different than other presidential administrations. The normal way is somebody wins the presidency in November. Every 4 years, there's an election. That person who wins the presidency has a list of names that they and their top aides have considered as prospective appointees, and they submit them to the FBI for background checks. It was very public knowledge on the campaign trail in 2024 that then candidate and former President Trump wanted Tom Homan to serve in some form in his immigration and ultimately his deportation strategy. So that was not a surprise. But Donald Trump balked at the notion that all other presidents had followed it before him of submitting names for these FBI background checks. If the president-elect had done that the way normal people do, he would have gotten the alert and the benefit of the FBI's research and known that the guy he was considering for a very senior law enforcement post was indeed under criminal investigation for potentially soliciting bribes and had been recorded accepting $50,000 in cash in the bag you described so well.
Yeah, the irony of this being a kava bag, which is Middle Eastern and Mediterranean food, given the aggressive, sometimes racist nature of this DOJ, is not lost on me. I want to add something else to this. This is pretty fascinating. There was no regular check. I want to read this quote here. Presidents-elects normally submit to the FBI a lengthy list of appointees. Soon after winning election in November, Trump's transition team did not strike an agreement with the FBI to submit a list of appointees until December 3rd, and then only a partial list. It's interesting to me that they couldn't even strike a deal. And so what does that usually look like? Does it mean that the incoming administration is like, hey, look, this young lady, you know, she had an issue with drugs in the 80s, but she's clean now? Like, what kind of deal making usually happens? Or is it just a matter of most candidates come in, they submit their finances, they submit their criminal record, and then they're cleared?
There's usually no deal making. It's here's our list. We want to know everything about them and we want them to be clean, and we don't want to be embarrassed or compromised if this person turns out to have a problem we don't know about. It's almost like a service that the FBI provides. And for Donald Trump, very suspicious of the FBI, he didn't want their service. He didn't need their help and their assessment of the cleanliness or, you know, moral rectitude of various candidates he had in mind. And Jason, there's another answer to your question too about how irregular this all was. You know, DOJ career lawyers who are involved in public integrity investigations are in the fall of 2024 champing at the bit to tell somebody in Trump's team about what's going on with Homan, because they're nervous. Hey, they need to know. We don't want the president in